my squidlings, Katie here, and I hope you're having a squidlicious day. So today we're going to be taking a look at some really cheap markers. So these are, I believe they're called the Bianyo, I'm not quite sure how you pronounce it. It is in a foreign language and something I do not speak. These are 12 markers, and as you can tell, they've got a squishy soft brush tip. So they come in this really cool box. I really like the box. This is kind of like a graphic of what you can expect the markers to be. So it's got the rainbow colors. I opted out of getting the 24 colors just because I didn't really want a lot of them because they just included skin tones, and I've got enough skin tones, to be honest. So let's get these puppies out of this box and set the backs aside. Oh my goodness, so many markers. Before I go any further in the video, I want to let you guys know that I have a Patreon, and any and all support to Patreon goes right back into these reviews that I pay for with my own money, like this one. Plus, with Patreon, you get some really cool rewards. So at the base level tier, which is $1 a month, you get access to coloring contests, which get you free art if you win, art raffles that also get you free art if you win, and much more like works in progress. And then if you pledge more, you get more rewards like prints sent to you every month in the mail. So if you're interested in joining my Patreon, link is up here. It's a new month, new art raffle, new coloring contest. So please consider joining. I would appreciate it a lot. So now let's look at the markers. So they are called double line markers, and I got these from AliExpress, and I paid $10. It was not quite $11. It was like $10.50 or something. I did get a $4 off coupon for joining AliExpress, so these would have been around $14. But these are awesome. For $10, you get 12 markers. I mean, I don't know if they're awesome yet, but I'm very excited. So the brush end has a gray strip, and the chisel end does not. The very end has a number. If I can get this to focus. This is P81 Deep Violet. And I got a little swatch card, so we'll kind of take a look at both the tips first though. So they've got a really chunky chisel tip, just kind of like your standard chisel tip. And then on the other end, they've got a brush nib, which kind of looks stiff, so we'll test that out. So this is R11 Carmine. I'm just going to swatch all these out. I'm going to speed it up, and then I'll talk a little bit further about all this stuff. And yay, the cap fits on the end. That makes me happy. Alrighty, now that I am done swatching the colors, I have to say, they're really pretty. I don't think they fall too short from their cap colors either, which is nice. So some of them look like the caps, and some of them don't. Like, actually, I take that back. In real life, this, like, Viridian color does not really look like this. It's a little, the cap is a little darker. And this doesn't look like the yellow ochre color. But I mean, they really look like the colors, so that's always a bonus. I hate getting markers when the caps don't look like their colors. The only thing so far that I have found kind of alarming is, and I don't know if you'll be able to see it, but there's like some bumpage on the side of this brown marker. I don't really use browns, to be that honest, not often, so it doesn't upset me that much, but it was feeling a little drier than the others, and again, that just could be because I was using the textured side, but this is the only one out of all the markers that ended up like this, so it's not that big of a deal. Another thing I really like about these markers is their design. They're kind of a hexagonal shape aside from the circle, so they don't roll around, and it's nice. Like, they can roll if you push them hard enough, but once you set them down, they're not going to go anywhere, which is nice. Caps fit on the end, like I mentioned earlier, which is also nice. And I like how this end is marked off, so it's just easier to grab it and use the brush end if I want. Alright, so I have picked out the colors of the Copic like variety that I have that closely match these colors. Some of them aren't the same, but I got them as close as possible. I just don't have some colors that are similar to this. So what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to kind of compare them here. I'm going to do a couple blend tests. And then what I want to do is color two different line arts, with one with these markers and one with these markers, just to kind of give you a feel for how each marker would work. And of course they'll be the same colors across the two, different pictures. It's just some of them will be different varying shades because I didn't have the same colors with the Copics. I am very excited to kind of compare them. One of the first things I want to compare is the chisel tips. So I'm going to take the double line marker, and then we're going to take a Copic. All of these are Copic Chows. Copic sketches are basically the same thing, they just got a bigger barrel. So right off the bat, you can kind of tell that the Copic Chow marker is actually a little bit smaller than this one, but it is longer, but I don't think that matters much. So this double line marker is a little chunkier than the Copics. And now I'm going to test the chisels. So this is the Copic marker. It's got a pretty nice even lay down, and I really appreciate that. And you can get thin lines and thick lines. And then here is the double line marker. Again, I tried to get them as close as possible to each other, but they're not 100%. So as far as chisel tips are concerned, I mean, they're pretty equal. I don't really use chisel tips, so I'm not an expert in them. Now is the battle of the brush tips, and as you can tell, this one on the Copic is a little bit narrower, a little longer, and this one's a little chunkier. So we're going to zoom in, and we're going to take a look at these brush pens. So this is the Copic, and you can get really nice thin and thick lines, which is something I really enjoy about these markers. Now, these ones I really don't know because I haven't tested the brush markers very much. So let's test it. Okay, so these make some really nice lines. They're nice and squishy. I like them. I'm actually quite surprised. Another thing I want to kind of test out is blending. So blending with markers, you can do them in their own color families, like blues, or you can always try to blend them, you know, like red, yellow, orange. Not exactly color families, but you can kind of make it work, and so we're going to be trying both of those. Alright, so I'm starting out with the Copics and the blues, and I'm coloring dark to light just to show you kind of how they blend, and then I do light to dark just to show you how that blends, and then I move on to the double line markers in the same two blue shades that I kind of compared them to. And the dark blue is a lot darker than the other one, but that's okay. I did a dark to light, and then I did a light to dark. They don't blend as well together as the Copics, but I still think that they blend well enough. And then now we're moving on to the red, orange, and yellow. I'm starting out with the double line markers going dark to light. As you can tell, I had a hard time blending the orange and yellow, but I also had a hard time with that in the Copic range too, so it wasn't the markers, it was just because the colors were hard to blend. Then I do light to dark, and then I will be moving on to the Copics. Again, same thing, just trying to blend them and see kind of what colors I can get. I found with the double line, the faster you're able to blend the colors, the better they'll blend. And with Copics, they kind of reactivate a little bit, but with these double lines, they are pretty hard to blend if you let them dry, so keep that in mind. So now we're moving on to the coloring portion of this video, and I'm starting out with the double line markers. So this is the illustration that I made. And since I didn't really have any skin tones and I didn't want to use my Copics for this, I decided to use what I already had, and I started out with a dark tone. I do end up regretting starting out going light to dark with the skin tone because the skin tone ends up being very dark, very heavy feeling, and I found the more I layered these markers, the stickier that they felt. I don't know how to explain that, like the ink just felt very thick. These are some really juicy markers, and while there's nothing wrong with that, they just felt really heavy. I don't really know how to explain that. So after I had that fiasco with the skin, I decided that I'm going to start coloring dark to light because that is the best way to color with these markers. So I put in all of the shading for the hair first, and then I move on to the orange for the lighter parts of it. And I color her lips. I kind of went all over the place, like the rainbow with these colors, but I wanted to test out almost all the markers. I did not use the purple and I did not use the black, and that goes with the Copics too. So it's kind of a rainbow piece. I did flat shading on the shirt and eyes, and then I end up doing a yellow square, actually it's a rectangle, in the background just to kind of tie everything together. Then I just add little details with my Micron, it's not a Micron, with a fine liner and a gel pen. I started out with the Sakura gel pen, but I didn't like how bright it was, so basically I just ended up adding those highlights, and then we're going to be moving on to the Copic marker illustration. So again, I did almost the same thing with the Copic. I just worked everything out almost the same way. So I added a flat coat of skin color, which is the closest one I had to the double line markers. And then I add the shading in the exact same spots, trying to keep it as exact as possible. And I actually referenced the first picture just so I could keep it as accurate as possible, because I wanted to give these double lines a fair chance. And Copics blend beautifully. I already knew this. So, I don't know. I think I'm gonna not talk about the Copic coloring, and I'm gonna kind of talk more about the double lines. I think that if you really want an introduction into a squishy, soft brush pen and you only want to pay like $10 or something, $10 to $15 for a small set, I think that these would be pretty good. I really like the brush tip on these double line markers, to be honest. I think that if you want something that will last you a long time and that you can refill and that will blend a lot better and has a lot more colors, you should probably still stick with Copic. It really just depends on what your goals are for your art. If you're just wanting an intro into markers and you want something cheap and you don't know if you'll like them, yeah, I would recommend these. Would I recommend them for anything else, like professional? Of course, Copics aren't light fast, and so neither of these are these other markers, but the thing is, these look more professional, Copics do, than the double line markers. So if you want to practice and you just want to get better at your marker art, yeah, they're great. But if you want something that looks a lot more professional, blends better, and all that stuff, I would still go with the Copics. So, do I think these are a dud or a dupe? I think that's left up to interpretation. That is up to you. If you feel like these were a dud, then they were a dud. If you feel like they're a dupe, then they're a dupe. I think I really like the brush tip, and I just wish the colors weren't so heavy and the ink wasn't heavy. It's just a lot, and they're very vibrant. Like, you'll notice the Copics I have, they're pretty decently matched, but the double lines are just really vibrant, and they're almost too vibrant. And as somebody who loves to color vibrantly, it's a little too much for me, but that's just my opinion. Yeah, I'm just adding the final touches on the Copic piece now, and I'll show you in a second what they look like side by side. I will leave a link down in the description below to the AliExpress link that I used. Plus, if it's your first time to AliExpress, you'll get a $4 off coupon, so that'll make these like $10. Alright, here are the two side by side. I really liked the brush tip. It was a little thick, but I really did enjoy it. So, that was a bonus on these. And I'm sure I've already mentioned a bunch of other stuff that I liked and didn't like, but I just wanted to pop in and kind of show these two to you side by side, the Copic versus the double line, and just kind of let you guys know what I created. So if you like the video and you want to see more videos like this of me comparing Copics or other materials to cheaper materials, please leave a thumbs up on the video and leave a comment down below, give me some suggestions. I'd really appreciate it. So if you aren't already and you want to be a part of our cute little squid pod, there is a subscribe button down below, and there's this little bell button next to it that if you click both of those, you'll get subscribed and you'll get notified on when I upload new videos. I normally upload on Mondays and Fridays, but just in case I pop another one in there, you want to get notified, don't you? I have social media. If you want to follow those, links are in the description below. And until next time, guys, toodaloo!